Okay, so I'm going to try to keep the sea shanty intros short when we do them. Although I do, on the hour-long ones, I like letting that thing go a minute. Because, like, I'm smoking and whatever anyway. But this video has a point. And this is, you see on a lot of my weapons that I have a cleaning rod taped to the outside of that gun. Let's talk about why I do that. Let's talk about Matt Robertson. Matt Robertson is was a staff sergeant in the 82nd Airborne and a Ranger who got out and was doing his GI Bill and shit there at the school and being a postman. And basically, there was a group of people doing World War II reenacting. And I got mixed into that because I thought it looked like fun and I was building a Browning automatic rifle. And there's not that many people in a college that are building a Browning automatic rifle, so I just fit right in. And, it was okay. Those guys are kind of weird. Right? And I'm a different kind of weird, and so is Matt. And so were several of the others. Sorry. The kind of weirdos that we were was, we thought Vietnam looked cool. And what we ended up doing was Matt had the idea that, okay, so we've all got a bunch of Vietnam equipment together. Let's go do some displays alongside the World War II shit that they're doing. And then eventually that ended up with us doing our own thing. And we went to like churches and schools and that kind of thing. And I did weapons displays and, got to talk to the normies about fucking, all sorts of shit. And that was like half of the thing was I had a weapons display at that time that, most people would envy. And between Matt Robertson, myself, and a couple of the other dudes together, we had every weapon in Vietnam and World War II and a few other conflicts. I brought an M4 and an AK-74 that was, Iraqi police issue. So we even had shit like that mixed in at the top. And it was a whole like, hey, bring your kids and show them, what you used in the wars or whatever. And like, the one that was the big hit that like nobody figured on was the AK-74 and M4 from Iraq. Because that's how I had them set up. The M4 had an aim point and a Knight's Armament drop-in rail and was a 14.5 pin and weld build. It was M4. The AK was a Polish Tantal, which the Iraqi police bought a bunch of. So there's a whole bunch of those in Iraq. Anywho, this went on for a while, doing displays and whatever. And we started talking about like doing a big camping trip and going on a LARP and that sort of shit. And we eventually did that shit a couple of times too. Point is, during this entire time, Matt had a cleaning rod taped to his gun, and I thought it was cool, and I asked him why. And, being someone who was on a lot of ranges around that time and afterwards, his answer, it struck with me, and it was, how many times have you seen a AR-15 have a stoppage that was a stuck case in a chamber? I was like, it's not uncommon. It's like, exactly. And he's like, now we're out in the middle of the bush and, there's people after us and whatever. Wouldn't you want to carry the one tool that can fix that? What are you doing? Fucking cat. And he showed me a bunch of pictures of guys in Vietnam that had cleaning rods taped to the side of M16’s usually, occasionally Car 15. But especially early M16’s, they had a shitload of, like, they were taking their fucking multi-part rail out of the buttstock of like an M14 putting it together and taping it to the side of a gun, which is not a good idea. Not my preferred method. I like the Soviet cleaning rods because they're nice and lightweight and they're long and they're all one piece. Anyway, the point of all of this was I got a crap ton of fun and experience and whatever that included, busting caps at each other in the woods and shit and digging foxholes and whatever. And all I did was go hang out with some World War II and Vietnam nerds. And like part of the key of this is that like there were a few legit people mixed in teaching shit. And that's how it, probably is at most of these things, I would imagine. You go looking for this shit anywhere, you're going to find someone that knows what they're doing and they're teaching something. It's whether that something is good or not, I guess is the question. But this is the thing where, like, if you're learning basic bitch infantry shit and some long-range patrolling shit, and the dude has a ranger tab on his shoulder, he probably knows more than you, bub. Someone told me to go buy a ranger handbook in the comments of one of the videos. I should probably do that. My response was, what does that have to do with stealing boats? I think it's a fair argument. Trying to think of other shit that we did. We put up a couple of GP medium tents and just hung out at a camp for a while once. That was fucking fun. And, in reality, if you want to have a fun activity to do with the boys on the weekends, why not take up Vietnam reenacting? Okay. Go buy yourself a retro AR-15. Or hell, just run your modern gear. And, go do long range patrols in some fucking Vietnam kit. I think, honestly, doing Vietnam guns and Vietnam kit would be good for a lot of you guys because it's like you learn to live with less. I'm amazed at how many people think the fact that the Russians don't have optics on their rifles or night vision means a goddamn thing, really. There's a lot of, like, fundamental lack of understanding about how wars are fought. And, like, if you went and did that little, like, long-range patrolling shit, man, you'd be wishing you had night vision if it was dark. But for what the Russians are doing, they don't care. I just think this would be, like, the hobby of all hobbies for the fucking militia people. Like, this and, like, some sort of bullshit deer hunting thing. I was talking to Risky Christie about my deer hunting idea, which is basically that we make the American Deer Hunter Association, and it's like Deer Hunter the movie, not deer hunters, like deer hunting. And like, I guess you could fold that in with this, have it be where like, you and your American Deer Hunter boys go out and like pitch a couple tents and like do some long range patrolling shit or whatever for the weekend. In full kit. Like, I don't know, like, why not? Everybody else LARPs. To be clear, like, when we did that shit across southern Missouri, Matt Robertson at the time had enough pull in enough places that he got us permission to do some of the shit that we did. Which was, hey, there's this, like, wildlife refuge. There's no roads through it or anything. Like, no one's going to find us. No one's going to see us except a game warden. We're letting you know that we're going to be there, and this is what we're going to be doing, and this is how we're going to be dressed, and these are the weapons we're going to be carrying. We're going to have a full squad of men, and we're going to be doing training. And that's how he laid it out to these people. It was like, hey, I have some young men from the college, and we're going to go do this. And maybe that's how you should lay out your shit, too, is that, hey, man, I'm, X blah de blah. It would really help if you were like a fucking paratrooper or ranger or something where people go, ooh. And you're like, hey man, I'm leading a college class or some shit in Vietnam, and I'm taking them out here, and we're gonna bust some caps at them, and yada yada yada. I bet you could get away with a lot of shit doing that. That's how Matt Robertson got away with this shit. Because literally, the place we were going through, ordinarily, if they caught 12 dudes going through there with M16s and fucking rucksacks, they would have called the sheriff. That's just no bones about it. Like, if you're going to go out and do training shit, either have land that is yours to do this on, or make sure that you're squared away with whoever is fucking taking care of that land. And the other thing I would say is if you are going to go out and, like, you know, bust caps in the woods, you probably ought to have your own land for that. What we were doing on public land was no trace, no noise. We were never here. And that's how he pitched it to them. He's like, this is what we're training for. If you're really worried about us making a bunch of noise and like keeping the neighbors up and fucking leaving a bunch of trash, this is what we're doing. It's better than leave no trace camping. It's you didn't ever know we were fucking here watching you. It's kind of badass. It's, you know, I would consider this, what we're talking about here, to be the ultimate form of backpacking in reality, because like we all had a ruck on and it had, you know, basic bitch infantry kit from Nam basically, and we were just living out of that. And you know, if your goal is to train and build up some hardship or whatever, I think that's a good way to go. Issuing your dudes Vietnam era sleeping equipment and sending them out into not winter but like fall. I think that's just a good idea. Anyway, I'm going to cut this off here. I don't know what I'm going to call this shit. I wanted to do a video on hanging out with Matt and that whole experience and why I taped that rod to that gun, basically. There's more to it than that, man. Like, that was a giant leadership experience in reality. I hope that someone's still doing that there, to be honest. I doubt they are. Half of the kids that were doing this shit were like ROTC. The other half were like me. We're like, they just liked shit. So it's like the ROTC class of the militia or something like that. That's what he was doing. I think half of his thing was he had kids and he drugged them along on some of this shit, and like his kids are how he got into the World War II reenacting shit. It just all kind of fell together perfectly. And his kids were like, they're at the point to where if we went to war tomorrow and there were Chinese paratroopers, he would have been handing them M16's. I forget exactly how old they were, but they were like late teens, mid-teens. So having them along for the ride added to the experience, especially because like they weren't your normal kids. They were like talking like they were in the 1960s and shit, and a kid, and like Jesus, that was kind of cool. Like, it's like time traveling, man. This is what the squares don't get about historical reenactments, is that it's literally time traveling. The only thing securing you to this time and place really is the culture around you. So if you just walk into a fucking aircraft hangar that is 1940 and everything in it is 1940, the tools are 1940, the planes are 1940, the women are dressed like 1940s women. Man, it's a trip. It's something you should experience. And walking into that scene is Ray Ray, the 6'5" time-traveling transgender woman thrown through time and space to the 1940s to, I don't know. I don't know why I would be chosen. Be funny though. Like honestly, if we were gonna send a time traveler, I think I would be the pick. Because like I'd get beaten to death in most of history probably. Or fucked. Or both. Probably fucked. There's always some demographic of guys that think I'm like literally candy or some shit. I don't know what that's about. If you like women with tits the size of their head, you know, that's the demographic that I appeal to. I've been busy. And when I'm that kind of busy, I feel like a fucking idiot a little bit because I'm just like, I don't know. I'm not going to go into it, but like, I could use a fucking nap. I haven't been making many videos, but I wanted to make this one now. I'm going to go cruise YouTube and try to find you guys something else to do a video on. It's interesting how getting laid affects my ability to do the radio show. I don't know why that is, but it somewhat is. It's distracted, I think. When I only have you guys to focus on, I do better shows. You know, the other thing I would say in this is if you are in a smaller group, you know, if you're two people, why not go out and do like scout sniper shit? If you look into that, that's, you know, if you're two people, I would definitely probably learn some of that shit. Well, I'll see you guys later.